same-sex marriage and marriage equality. Are they really the same thing? One of the most inappropriate and inaccurate phrases being used in the campaign for same-sex marriage is the term marriage equality. It really tugs at the heartstrings and paints same-sex couples as an oppressed minority who don't have equal rights. It makes same-sex marriage seem like a civil rights issue, and therefore very difficult to oppose in good faith. Indeed, it makes those opposing same-sex marriage seem like bigots. But are marriage equality and same-sex marriage really the same thing? Let's look at the facts. Same-sex marriage is straightforward. It's the marital union of two people of the same sex. That is, man and man or woman and woman. Marriage equality, however, is something else entirely. It really means that any marital relationship should be regarded equally. And if marriage is redefined as being between two persons, then what criteria will be used to define a person? It used to be that you were either gay or straight, but now we have LGBTIQ and growing. And Facebook now allows more than 50 different genders to choose from. And if the only criterion for marriage is love, then how can any loving relationship be excluded from marriage? So it's just not that simple as saying that same-sex marriage and marriage equality are the same thing. Let's look at what marriage equality really means. It really means that you have to allow all people to marry regardless of age, sex, gender, orientation, relation, or any other variable. It means you have to allow brother and sister to marry. And you will have to allow bisexuals to marry in line with their orientation, which will mean that they will have to marry more than one person. That means group marriage. And based on gender theory, so-called experts have apparently identified many gender and sexual categories. For example, genderqueer, gender fluid, demisexual, asexual, pansexual, two-spirit, scoliogender, polyamorous, just to name a few. So marriage equality would mean that all of these categories should have equal access to marriage. Now, in case anyone thinks that we are just scaremongering, let's hear it from the horse's mouth. In 2015, the United States Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage by a majority of 5 judges to 4. One of the 4 Chief Justices that disagreed was John Roberts, and he made the following remarks linking legalizing same-sex marriage to polyamory or group marriage. He said, although the majority, that's the 5 judges who supported same-sex marriage, randomly inserts the adjective to in various places, it offers no reason at all why the two-person element of the core definition of marriage may be preserved, while the male-female element may not. It is striking how much of the majority's reasoning would apply with equal force to the claim of a fundamental right to plural marriage. And then on the 13th of June 2017, the UK Daily Telegraph reported that Victor Hugo Parada, John Alejandro Rodriguez, and Manuel Jose Bermudez gained legal recognition as the first polyamorous family in Colombia, where same-sex marriages were legalized just the year before. They said, "We wanted to validate our household and our legal rights because we had no solid legal basis establishing us as a family." And the website change.org claims that CAIO people, that is consensual, adult, incest-oriented people, have a human right to marry. They claim that there is no sense in having a Charter of Fundamental Rights if those rights don't apply to everyone equally. CAIO people are consenting adults who have an incestuous orientation, just as homosexuals have a gay orientation. Laws depriving CAIO people of the right to marry are tantamount to a human rights abuse. Does that sound familiar? And another website, marriageequality.blogspot.com.au, has a wealth of information on incestuous relationships and more than 80 case studies. It tells us what full marriage equality actually means. It means the right of consenting adults to share and enjoy love, sex, residence, and marriage without limits on the gender, number, or relation of participants. Full marriage equality is a basic human right. Equality just for some is not equality. Don't just stand up for your freedom to marry, stand up for the freedom of all to marry. Don't just be an ally for a friend's right to a same-gender marriage, stand for the rights of all. That's true marriage equality. What marriage equality really means. We are told by the media that marriage equality means same-sex marriage, nothing more and nothing less. But let's again hear from the Full Marriage Equality blog. Quote, "The next time someone says the freedom to marry someone of the same gender will lead to polygamy or incest, instead of throwing other people under the bus, respond with something like, 'What's wrong with letting consenting adults do what they want with each other? Support marriage equality, period.'" Unquote. So why is this not reported in the media? So what do the facts tell us? The facts tell us that same-sex marriage and marriage equality are not the same thing. They tell us that voting yes to marriage equality means that you must allow full marriage equality. And this means allowing group marriage and incestuous marriage. So voting yes to marriage equality means a whole lot more than just same-sex marriage. Anyone that says otherwise is simply not aware of all the facts. So what's the bottom line? The bottom line is that voting yes to marriage equality is just too big a risk to take. It's much safer to just vote no.